My name is Anna. I've paid the bills, covered the debt, bought the gifts, and smiled through every insult, all for a family who never once asked how I was doing. The final blow came wrapped in glittery paper and an $850 phone I bought for my niece. She giggled. Mom says if you disappeared tomorrow, no one would even notice. And everyone laughed, except me. That was the moment I realized I wasn't family. I was funding their fantasy. So I left a black backpack behind and disappeared. Stay with me because this isn't just a story. It's a reckoning. Mom says if you disappeared tomorrow, no one would even notice. 13 words from a 13-year-old. Spoken with a giggle. Delivered like a joke. Except it wasn't. My niece peeled the plastic off the $850 phone I had just handed her. Her fingers were delicate, careful. But her words? Sharper than broken glass. They sliced through the air, through my chest, and straight into something I didn't even know could still bleed. Around us, the living room buzzed with chatter, laughter, drinks clinking, chairs scraping the floor. 30 voices rising and falling like background noise in a sitcom. Except the joke was on me. I stood still, the one person not laughing. Not even blinking. On the couch, my sister Lindsay didn't look up from her phone. But I caught it, the flicker of a smile tugging at the corner of her mouth. A smirk of satisfaction. Like a courtroom verdict had just gone in her favor. Mom was in the kitchen, stirring something with a spoon that clanked a little too loudly. A convenient excuse not to have heard. But I saw her shoulders lift, then relax, a silent nod. Approval, quiet but complicit. And Dad? He didn't bother to hide it. He raised his beer, chuckled low, and muttered, "Well, she's not wrong." Laughter followed. Real, rolling laughter. My cousins grinned. Even Uncle Gary, who couldn't even remember my birthday, let out a snort like someone just told a great punchline. Only I was the punchline. The provider. The invisible one. The fool with the wallet. I stood there, gift bag still dangling from one hand, my smile frozen in place. I had bought the cake. Covered the decorations. Paid for the Uber rides. The only thing I hadn't prepared for was this. "Thanks for the phone, Annie," my niece said sweetly, already leaning into her mother's side, eyes locked onto her shiny new screen. Her words were automatic. Thoughtless. Hollow. And I realized I wasn't family. I was a transaction. That realization doesn't come like thunder. Doesn't crash down with rage or shouting. It arrives slowly. Quietly. Like snow falling on your shoulders while you wait for someone to notice you're cold. I stood among them, people I'd bought groceries for, paid utility bills for, bailed out of late rent notices. People who called me selfless behind my back but too much when I said no. And now the truth was laid bare, under fairy lights over half-eaten finger food with cheap wine and cheaper laughs. Lindsay finally looked up. Our eyes met. And in that moment she didn't blink. Didn't flinch. She wanted this. She planned this. Or maybe she just enjoyed watching me squirm. That's when Mom clapped her hands together and said cheerfully, "Okay, everyone, let's cut the cake." As if nothing had happened. As if this wasn't the exact moment they all confirmed what they thought of me. I didn't protest. I didn't cry. I moved to the kitchen slowly, leaning against the counter like I belonged there. My jaw tight. My heart louder than the laughter. My fingers curling into fists inside my pockets. I felt my phone, and something inside me shifted. This time I wouldn't smile. This time I wouldn't pay. Not for the cake. Not for the phone. Not for their comfort. This time I was going to disappear and make sure they felt it. I didn't storm out. There was no shouting. No dramatic "I'm done" moment. No slammed doors or broken plates. That wasn't my style. Not anymore. I stood there in the kitchen, the glow from the birthday candles bouncing off the tiled wall. The sound of everyone singing "Happy Birthday" drifted through the room like a memory already turning sour. I stared at the frosting, the fake smiles, the flicker of flames, and I felt nothing. Except for one thing, resolve. My hand slipped into my pocket. The phone was still warm. And with just 2 taps, I began to unravel the life they thought they owned. Tap. There went Lindsay's rent account closed. Tap. Mom's internet, gas, electricity disconnected. I went down the list like a surgeon with a scalpel. Subscription after subscription. Credit line after credit line. Spotify family. Amazon Prime. Dad's prepaid card. Lindsay's insurance. Gone. All of it. Deleted, disabled, severed. Quietly. Completely. Felt like muscle memory, but also like justice. I stood straighter. The weight I didn't know I'd been carrying for years had begun to lift, ounce by ounce, line by line. While they laughed over cake and selfies and their filtered version of love, I reclaimed every piece of myself they had claimed. I wasn't angry. I was done. No goodbyes. No announcements. I walked out the front door like I was going to the store. Nobody noticed. Not even Mom. She was too busy passing out slices of cake and compliments she didn't mean. Nobody saw me go. And that was the most poetic part of it all. I finally gave them exactly what they always acted like they wanted, my absence. I didn't go straight home. I drove around for a while. No destination. Just letting the night swallow the last of my guilt. Eventually, I pulled into my apartment complex, stepped inside, and stood there for a long time, just listening to the silence. It wasn't empty. It was clean. I didn't pack much. Just essentials. Clothes, toiletries, my passport. I reached into the back of my closet and pulled out the black backpack, old, scuffed, and forgotten. Until now. It didn't carry clothes. Not food. Not cash. Carried proof. Documents. Receipts. Bank statements. All the years I spent saving them. Propping them up. Letting them drain me like some background ATM they didn't have to thank. And then I drove back. Back to that house. Back to that noise and warmth and fake love. No one saw me sneak in. I left the black backpack by the staircase. Just sat it there like a package waiting to explode. Then I walked away. Not just from the house. Not just from the party. But from the role I'd been forced to play, the caregiver, the fixer, the invisible backbone. I vanished. By the time they noticed, I would already be a ghost. And for the first time in my life, I didn't care if they missed me. In fact, I hoped they would. Because the girl who paid for everything just sent the final bill. The morning after I left the backpack, I woke up to silence. Not the kind that hums in the background while you make coffee. This was heavy. Charged. The kind that sits in your apartment like it's waiting for you to breathe wrong. And then, boom, 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 pounding on my front door. Not a knock. A fist. Over and over again like it wanted to punch its way through. I didn't move. Open up. Dad's voice. Rough, slurred, furious. You think you can just do this? The door rattled against its hinges. I know you're in there. You think you're better than us? His voice cracked, not just from rage, but from something deeper. You ungrateful little. Try it, I said, calm. Solid. His hand balled into a fist, but he didn't swing. He never did. He was all bark, no bite. Powered with a temper. You used me, I added. There's a difference. Mom stepped forward. This is cruel. We're your family. I laughed, dry and hollow. Cruel is telling your daughter she's worthless while spending her money. Cruel is calling her selfish when all she did was give. Dad's voice dropped to a snarl. You think you're powerful now? You think we need you? I tilted my head. Since you broke into my apartment? Yeah, I'd say so. He blinked. You'll regret this, he spat. No, I said. You will. They left. Slammed the door so hard my picture frames rattled. But even then, the air felt clearer. Lighter. The apartment didn't feel invaded, it felt freed. The next day, Lindsay showed up at my office. I saw her pacing through the glass, eyes swollen, hands trembling. My boss looked confused. I didn't get up. When she started raising her voice at the front desk, security escorted her out. That night, my landlord knocked, sheepish. Your family is downstairs. Causing a scene. I looked him dead in the eyes. They're not my family. He blinked. Should I call the cops? Yes. I watched them from my window as security pushed them back. Their hands waved. Their voices begged. But they didn't want me back. They wanted the version of me that paid for everything and never talked back. That version of me was gone. And all that was left was the silence they created. And the woman who finally learned to live inside it. They didn't give up. They never do, not people like them. People who mistake kindness for obligation. Love for leverage. Silence for surrender. After security dragged them from my building, I thought maybe they'd take the hint. But they just changed tactics. Mom's messages became tear-streaked essays. We're falling apart. Your father's sick. Lindsay's losing her mind. You're the only one who can fix this. Lindsay's voice messages swung from venom to desperation. You coward. You ruined everything. Then, minutes later, I didn't mean it. Please just talk to me. Don't do this. But I did. I ignored every word. 'Cause this wasn't love. It was a storm of fear of losing their safety net. Then came Dad's final move. Text. Short. Calculated. Let's talk like adults. No drama. Just a game, you and me. Like old times. I felt the trap. The sugar-coated bait. But I agreed. I wanted to end this. We met at the stadium, the same one he used to take me to as a kid. Back then, it felt like something special. A tradition. Now it felt like a performance. He sat in Section 12, Row F, the only empty seats in a packed house. On his lap, the black backpack. My stomach turned. I walked toward him slowly, eyes locked. He waved with a grin that didn't reach his eyes. Surprised I called you? He shouted over the roar of the crowd. I sat beside him, never breaking eye contact. You have something that belongs to me. He patted the bag. You thought you were smart, huh? Running away. But you forgot this. We opened it. I raised an eyebrow. And, we know, he sneered. Know what? Your secrets. Your lies. You've been hiding things. Playing the victim. I almost laughed. Open it. Let's both see what I've been hiding. He didn't move. You're bluffing, he muttered. You always were. My voice stayed calm. Inside that bag is every dollar I ever gave you. Every debt I paid. Every sacrifice I made. You want to talk about betrayal? Open it. His fingers hovered over the zipper. You think people will take your side? You think anyone cares? I don't need them to care, I said. I just need you to understand. I'm not your bank. I'm not your daughter for rent. I'm done. He stood up, rage trembling in every limb. You ungrateful little. Try it, I said, ice in my voice. He froze. Around us, the crowd erupted. But in our world, it was silent. Till I reached out, took the backpack from his lap. He didn't resist. You want to know what's inside? I said loud enough for those around us to hear. I unzipped it and pulled out the stack of papers, every receipt, every transfer, every sacrifice. This is what I did for you. And this is how you paid me back. His face drained of color. His shoulders slumped. You can't just leave us, he whispered. I already did. I stood. Walked up the steps past staring strangers. Didn't look back. He shouted something, but his voice cracked under the weight of everything he lost. I walked out of that stadium and felt it, like cutting off the final chain, like breathing after years of drowning. And the truth hit me harder than any punch he could have thrown. They never loved me for who I was, only for what I gave. And now that I had given them nothing, they finally saw who I really was. Someone who knew her worth. Someone who walked away. I walked out of the stadium with nothing but the black backpack slung over one shoulder and a heart that finally beat without weight. The wind hit my face like a reminder. You did it. I didn't check my phone. I didn't replay what happened. I just walked. That night I didn't cry. I didn't shake. I slept. 8 hours. No dreams. No panic. Silence had once been their weapon. A tool they used to isolate, to punish. But now, it was mine. And it was beautiful. The next morning, the fallout began. Texts poured in like floodwaters from a dam they never thought would break. We didn't mean it. You're breaking the family apart. You've made your point. Come home. I didn't respond. They didn't want peace. They wanted me quiet again. Compliant. Plugged back into the machine that ran off my effort and my credit score. Then came the threats. Lindsay messaged me. You're heartless. You've ruined everything. Hope you're proud. I was. Then came the photo. Mom sent it late one night. A dimly lit dining room, one candle on the table, her face barely visible in the glow. We have nothing left. I deleted it without hesitation. 'Cause for the first time I had everything. I had me. The next week I saw him, Dad, outside my building again. He looked thinner. Exhausted. That sharpness in his eyes replaced by something softer. Desperate. He spotted me coming home from the store, rushed toward me. You can't do this, he said, arms wide like I might fall into them. You're my daughter. Kept walking. You were my wallet, I said, calm as ever. He grabbed my arm. His grip was weak. You think you're better than us? No, I said. I just stopped pretending I wasn't. His hand trembled. He swung at me, slow, sloppy, full of frustration, not force. It landed like a breeze. He stumbled, catching himself on a nearby wall. Pathetic. The word echoed in my mind, and maybe his too. You'll come crawling back, he shouted. I didn't turn around. Didn't slow down. I was nothing with you, I said over my shoulder. Now I'm free. At home, I threw my phone into a drawer and left it there. The messages, the missed calls, the guilt, all buzzed away in that little dark box. But they couldn't touch me. One letter arrived. Handwritten. Sloppy script. Please, Anna. Your father is sick. Lindsay's struggling. We need you. I didn't read the rest. I didn't have to. Because here's the truth. They were falling apart. And for the first time, I wasn't. I didn't move cities. I didn't change my number. I didn't hide. I simply stopped being part of their world. And their world collapsed without me. Lindsay's friends disappeared. Mom's side of the family stopped sending polite holiday cards. Dad got fired after one too many outbursts. But I didn't watch it happen. I didn't care. I lived. I cooked simple meals for myself. Took long walks without checking my phone. I breathed. Deeply. Freely. I passed the boutique where I used to spend half my paycheck on their gifts. Cafe where I bought overpriced birthday cakes. The restaurant where I paid every family dinner bill. Ghosts. That's all they were now. On a street corner, a musician played a soft, aching melody. It wasn't about love. Or heartbreak. It was about letting go. I stopped. I listened. Then dropped a 20 in his open case. He nodded. I smiled, not because anyone expected me to, but because I wanted to. That's the difference. They needed me. But I never needed them. Not really. And now? Now I was finally free. I wasn't the villain. I was the escape artist, slipping free from a lifetime of silent debt, of being the family's invisible lifeline. They said if I disappeared, no one would notice. But when I finally did, their world crumbled. But not because I left, but because they never imagined I could. And I didn't vanish out of spite. I walked away to live. To breathe. To smile for myself. No more guilt. No more pretending. Just peace. Because freedom isn't loud. It doesn't need to scream. Sometimes it's a closed door, and the sound of your own quiet footsteps walking away.